Uh, without much ado, can I encourage us to please turn on our cameras? We are as though we are in a room, and it would not be so much cute if we all are in pudas. I know you, do we understand what we mean by pudas? If we are all wearing veils, we would not be able to identify one another. And just for courtesy's sake, for friendship's sake, interesting, in quotes, that's my own English sake, please let's turn on our cameras, and it might be a means to encourage our speaker to. He would like to interact with us as though, as though we are in the same room. It will not be fine if I was wearing a sunshade. This is my beautiful face. So welcome. Yeah, because we want to be right on time. Don't mind two faces that you are seeing from me because I have my picture as my background. If you cannot see my real face very well, you'll be seeing my other face behind me. Anyway, I hope I'm audible enough. I'm just trying to buy time so that people can join the call before we kickstart. We would not waste any time, but we want everybody to gain as much as we would like them to be able to. So welcome again. Please, as you are joining us, we would encourage you to please turn on your cameras as a sign of respect for one another. Please turn on your cameras. Please turn on your cameras as you are joining the call as a sign of respect, of mutual respect for one another. We are assuming we are in the same room, and it would not be cute if we are wearing veils. So if we are wearing veils, we will not be able to communicate with one another. How would I identify who I was talking with?
Make sure your hands are
How would I be able to identify you the next time? I don't want to see you somewhere and be saying Ace, and I don't want to mix up your name with your face. So please, on God, as you are joining us, turn on your cameras. Please 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 turn on your cameras. You are seeing my beautiful face. I'm not hiding it. Please, let's see your beautiful and handsome faces as you are joining the call. Please, again, I'm begging. Again, I'm pleading. And we want us to settle down. It's as though we are in a room, like I'm saying again. I can say it a billion times. But as a sign of mutual respect, please, let's see our faces. Please, let's see our faces as we are joining the call. I know some of us might be lying down on the bed, but please, for the purpose of this interesting meeting, please, let's turn on our cameras as a sign of respect for our speaker, as a sign of respect for one another, as a sign of fellowship, as a sign, it's as though we are in a conference. So if we were in a conference, would we be hiding our faces? We want to meet one another. We want to interact. We don't know what collaboration can come up from here. You would not want me to be saying when next I see you, and you don't want me to mix your name up with someone else. So please turn on your camera. Please turn on your camera. Again, please turn on your camera. It's a plea. It's not shakara. It's not, So welcome again. We are starting. I'm just giving myself one more minute to allow us to balance well before we kick it off. We are a people of honor. We don't waste time. We don't want to waste anybody's time. We believe it's going to be value for your time. I almost said value for your money. Yes, it's no news that I like money, but I don't love money. But it's going to be value for your time. You are not going to regret joining us today. I know it's night in some people's area, and we sincerely appreciate you joining us from across many seas, many mountains. Your time zone different from us, but we welcome you in God's name. We welcome you. That's my English. You are going to hear so many English this evening. But all we are saying is thank you for joining us. We see it as though you see that we have value for your time, and you have joined us. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. While you settle down, let me quickly tell us about Springboard. Springboard, you've been receiving several emails from us because we love you, and believe it or not, we want the best for you, even though you don't know. And even though you know, we are declaring it, we want the best for you. Springboard was born out of a simple desire, and it is to propel vision and change lives. Somehow, I like to think it as though we are busybodies, even though you might not want to admit, but then we are here. It's propelled out of a vision to change lives, and we are just getting started. And in the little time we have started, we thank God for what we have been able to achieve. We have a heart to develop the community through programs that support youth, high school students, undergraduates, graduate students, and anyone looking for opportunities to grow. We have some of the things we have been able to accomplish in the course of the year on LinkedIn. The last one, we were at a high school here, and it was fun, believe me. We celebrated STEM with them. You might want to check out the highlights on LinkedIn. We engage in workshops and trainings, equipping students and young adults. There's another one, we call it CARE, C-A-R-E, CARE. It's a program whereby we help new students settle down in State College. We had an edition, was it July this year, when there were new intakes at Penn State. And we engage in outdoor learning programs for teenagers. We shape their life skills and leadership. And we also are involved with food and clothing drives. One is in the offing, it's in development. But gradually you're going to see us. In that aspect, to build a sustainable development. And we also are involved in innovation and entrepreneurship. We'd call that Innopreneur. That's our Innopreneur Hub, linking faith, research, and business. It's no news that I like money, but I don't love it. But anything that can bring clean money, in fact, not one finger, 5 fingers is raised, and that does not betray my faith, and also coined into research somehow. And medical outreach days, that also is in development, whereby we offer healthcare resources and education. Welcome again to one of our many series, the Springboard webinar series. There is an interesting topic we have for us today. It has come to stay, whether you like it or not. AI has come to stay. It's either you move with it or you are left behind. We are not saying you should give your brain away to computer, but whether you like it or not, you have been using calculator since. Why did you not be calculating all the several 10 raised to power, whatever with your brain? So people will say AI is this, AI is that. Your computer is AI. I mean, your calculator is AI. Your wristwatch, whether it's digital or analog, is AI. But we have brought a dimension for you whereby you will not be lost in the process of using the AI. Come on. And we have a seasoned AI person with us this afternoon. I smiled because I became a pro bono cameraman for him on one of his presentations he did. That was a climate consortium. He's still owing me that money, and he can hear my voice, he knows. Because he did one interesting research, and the presentation, I just stayed glued to his presentation. I was like, how could one be talking about farming and be talking about AI? Well, as a child of a farmer, yes, my late dad was a mechanized farmer. Alagbinla, we called him. I was interested in what he had to say. I was like, what is this one saying again? But then I saw the sense in it. And I was asking him there and then, like, I hope he patented it already. I asked him several questions, but it was too brilliant for me to catch up. Well, we are with him this evening. Let me quickly read to him let me quickly read to us who we have. So we know we have something and we have someone with us this afternoon. Dr. Edward Idun Amua. Pardon me if I did not call your middle name very well, but I know I called Edward well and I called Amua well. So whether it's Idun or Idun, pardon me. He's a computer engineer and ecologist whose work bridges artificial intelligence, that's the AI, ecology, and sustainable development, SDGs. If you know me, you know I'm so passionate about sustainable development. His research focuses on developing AI-powered monitoring and decision support systems for agriculture and environmental management. At Penn State University, he has led innovations such as floral area, bee monitor, and diameter algorithm to advance data-driven conservation and food security. Like I said, this is just like a succinct description of who we have with us today. If you know this person I'm talking about, if you like, you can grab a pen and a paper so that you can make some jottings. If not, well, I believe the recording of this session will be provided to as many as registered. But while it is going on, I would like you to be dropping whatever question you have in the comments. There's a provision for you to drop your questions so that we'll be able to catch up with that and we'll be able to answer as many that we have within the time we have. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and all of you, please make welcome Dr. Edward Idun Amua for his presentation this afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time it is in your zone. Welcome, Dr. Amua. Please take it away.
Thank you, Oluwayomi. I hope I mentioned your name properly.
Very well. You won't want me to find you, would you?
Yes,
Please, before you continue, I just want to encourage us again as we are joining. You can see Dr. Amua has his camera on. As a sign of respect, please, again, would you please turn on your cameras so that we can have that feel of us being in the same room? And if we were to be attending a conference, we would not be wearing veils. We would want to be seen. We would want to be identified. Even if for the sake of keeping the conversation going, please turn on your cameras as a sign of mutual respect. Thank you. Dr. Amua, please.
Thank you. Thank you once again, and thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I have to be honest, I was very stressed about this presentation. I usually am not stressed about presentations, but I really wanted to be able to give something that is worth your time. And so thank you for the opportunity to present, and I hope we will all learn from this presentation because I actually learned while I was making this presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, go ahead. So smart researcher. What does it mean to be a smart researcher? Now, throughout the presentation, I'll ask some questions I don't expect that people will answer, but if you want to answer, that would also be nice. So as I have been introduced, my work currently focuses on bridging AI into ecological research, and I've mostly specialized in using AI to extract ecological insight from media data, so that includes images and videos. And so one of my sort of most complicated work that I've done is working on this sort of system where I'm able to analyze video data to extract ecological insights. So generally, entomologists would have to sit and observe insect behavior or count insects or measure insects. But I'm developing a series of tools that allow to automate this process. And so instead of watching to see how many times or what nest the bee is nesting in, I can put a camera in front of the nest and be able to get this information automatically. And of course, I build a complicated AI systems for doing this. And that is what I did for my dissertation and what I continue to do in my postdoc as well. Today, I will not be talking specifically about my work or how I use AI, customize AI for my research, but I'll be talking about how you can use AI sort of for your research and also for your work in general. Throughout the workshop, I'll be going over three sort of broad topics. The first is sort of understanding the basics of AI. So I want you to be able to understand like what is artificial intelligence, and learn how it can enhance your research. I also want us to go over a few examples of like tools that you can use specifically for your research currently. And then finally, we will also go over sort of like how do you maintain originality, ethics, how do you maintain your voice, so to speak, as you use these systems. So AI, as we all know, is here to stay. Is going to be with us, at least for the foreseeable future. And when you use AI, it has benefits. It can speed up your work. It can improve the clarity of your work. It can help you generate insights. And so, for example, if you have a paper that you want to summarize or an essay you want to summarize quickly, traditionally you read it and then you pull out the information that are important to you and then you summarize. And that could take you 30 minutes. It could take you an hour. But today you could dump 10 pages into for a large language model and have it summarize it for you. So it can be very fast. You can write an essay that might not have good connections between paragraphs, but then you can ask an AI to sort of improve the clarity of the connection between the paragraphs, and it can do it very well. So there's so many things that you can use AI for, but it can also be very biased, and it can also be misused. Now, how you use AI determines which side of this scale you fall on. And as I've said, there are many ways to use AI, but generally, I think these are the two sort of approach or how I think we can conceptually think about it. And so one way to think about using AI is by using it to replace human intelligence. Another way to think about using AI is by using it to augment human intelligence. Now, the term AI generally, and I will explain the term AI in some of the subsequent slides. But artificial intelligence, broadly, is creating any system that does what human beings usually do, or what have been thought of that only human beings can do. So if you create any system that can do that, we term it as artificial intelligence because it's doing something that that's far only intelligent human beings have been able to do. And you can use AI in a way where it automates and replaces humans completely. And when you do that, there are consequences. The best way to use AI, on the other hand, as I have sort of understood, is by augmenting it. So these are the two ways to think about how you use AI. Now, I might have alluded to this point a little bit, but in the general public, if you ask people generally about AI, they usually come to the conclusion that it will replace their job or it will replace something, it will replace. And I think that is because, generally in the general public, when we think about AI, we think about which approach of using AI. It's usually automation approach. It's not usually thinking about the augmentation approach. And of course, if the way that you use AI is by having it automate your work, then of course your employer doesn't need you at the place. They can also just use the AI. And so I think what I'll be sort of talking about mostly in this workshop is thinking about how to use AI not as a tool to automate your work, but to augment your intelligence to do what you want to do. So let's think about augmentation. And I apologize for the image is a bit pixelated. But when we think about how to use AI in a way that can be reduced of biases and other errors, you have to use augmented intelligence. And so you have to put together your common sense, your imaginations, your own personal way of thinking and then augment it with the AI's capability for speed and all that, and then created sort of an augmented intelligence system. So that's how I want you to think about the use of AI as we go through this presentation, and also as you use it in your own lives, is not as a tool to automate your work, but to augment your intelligence. Okay, so now what have we learned? Okay, we've learned about how we use AI, and we also understand that what you get out of AI, whether it's going to be good stuff or bad stuff, is dependent on how you use AI. Now, you can use AI to automate your work, or you can use it to augment your intelligence. The main point that I want you to get from sort of this part of the presentation is that augment, don't automate. Don't just blindly automate. Augment the AI system with your intelligence. Okay. So now let's go over what I was talking about before, which is AI. What is AI and what are some of its limitations? So as I said, when we think about AI or artificial intelligence, it is loosely defined as any computer system that can do stuff that are previously only doable by humans. So it's a very general term, right? It doesn't have to be anything complicated, anything that human beings usually do. That if you create a sort of robotic system to do it, you can call it AI. But usually with those systems, it doesn't necessarily have to be machine learning. Machine learning is another way of building AI systems. Now, these kinds of AI systems, they learn from data. And so say I wanted to create a dry line that when I wash my stuff in Ghana, I put it on the line. And when it's raining, I want the dry line to, automatically pull up an umbrella so that the rain doesn't fall on my clothes. Because usually when it's raining, you have to run, get your clothes, and take it back to the room. That system, even though it's very simple, it might not be using any machine learning. It is just checking whether or not it's raining, and then it pull up the umbrella. I can call that system AI, but that system is not using any form of machine learning. It can be developed without any form of machine learning. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is a type of AI which learns from data because there's limitation on trying to build AI systems that are based on if-then statements, which is how the example of if it's raining, pull up the umbrella is that example because it's based on if-then statement or what we call conditional statements. But if you build a system that learns from data, then you're building machine learning models. Now, machine learning models doesn't have to be very complicated. Even something as simple as a linear regression model is a machine learning model. So machine learning basically just means you're learning from data examples. That's all it is. Now, within machine learning as well, you also have a type of machine learning called deep learning, which again is like linear regression or random forest or all these other kinds of like models, but deep learning is much more complex and it's built based on neural networks, which mimics how our human brain works. Now, under that deep learning as well, you can sort of put together the neural network in a structure that is called, or an architecture that is called transformer architecture. Now, from that transformer architecture, which is again a type of network, which is like linear regression, they are all type of way of doing machine learning. This transformer architecture is what has allowed us to build large language models, which is what people would generally think about when they think about AI in the general public. And so I think I'm going to talk mostly about large language models because I think that is what, sort of has expanded the scope of AI application, especially when it comes to research and also to day-to-day lives. Okay, so how do we create these AI systems? Again, most of these systems, especially large language models and most of the AI systems that you know about today are based on machine learning, and most of them are based on deep learning architecture. Specifically for transformer large language models, almost all of them are based on the transformer architecture. And you build these systems by putting together data, and these architecture or these network learn from the data, and then you make predictions. Now, I'm going to go over this in the subsequent slides with some examples with what I mean. So specifically for large language model. And I'll explain why I'm going over this because I want you to understand, how these models work, why and how they make their predictions. So most of the large language models today, like ChatGPT, Cloud AI, Perplexity, you name it, they are all built based on data from the internet. So Wikipedia, books, anything that they could find, they throw it at the transformer model. The transformer model learns the relationship between different words, and then they customize on a data set, and that is what they give to us. Now, I'm going to give you an example for you to see what I mean by this. So large language models, fundamentally, what they do is predict the next word. They're actually not doing anything very complex. And so, for example, if this is the transfer, this is my data set, and if I give it a sequence of words that says "cat sat on a," what is the most probable next word that will complete this sentence or this series of words? The model, based on the training data set, will predict math or something else based on the data that it has learned from. So really, these LLM models, all that they are doing is predicting the next word. And I'll show you another example to try to hone down this sort of idea. So let's say I'm training a large language model, and in this large language model, I'm only giving it 4 sentences, or what you would call the corpus. And these 4 sentences, this is the structure. The capital of Kenya is Nairobi. The capital of Ghana is Accra. Lagos is the capital of Nigeria. Most people love dogs better than cats. That's all the information that I use to train the model. Now, if I then give it a sequence of words, say the capital of, what is the most probable letter that or word that is going to predict? Anyone? Based on the data set. If you're learning to predict the next word based on a sequence of words, and all you know is this sequence of these sentences, and you get the sequence, the capital of, out of these 4 sentences, which words do you think is most probable going to be the next word?
Some people responded in the chat. You might want to check.
Oh, I can't see the chat. What does the chat says? I can't see the chat.
Some people said Ghana. Two people said Ghana. Someone said Ghana or Kenya. Someone said Nigeria.
Yes, very good. Some answers. Engagement. That is good. Yes. So based on this data set, the probability is actually between Ghana and Kenya. Why? Because out of these sentences, these are the only 2 sentences that fits the structure of what I'm typing. And out of these, the model will know that it's either Kenya or Ghana. And that's how it learns. Now, let's say I now say the capital of Ghana is, I already shown the answer. The most probable thing that is going to predict is the is. Why is it the is? Because out of this corpus, this is the only thing that fits this structure. And so it will just predict X with 100% confidence. Last example. So then if you say the capital of Ghana is, then again, it's going to predict Accra with 100% accuracy, probability, because out of the corpus of what it has learned from, this is the next sequence of word that makes has the highest probability. Now, I forgot to remove the answers. I have all the answers on the thing. But now let's say we ask a different question to the LLM model. Let's say we ask the capital of Nigeria is. Now you see that out of the probabilities, out of the corpus, we actually don't have this structure in the data set. And so the model, what it's going to try to do is that it's going to try to compare this question to its data set. And these two sentences are the only two sentences that are most closest to it, which have the same structure of the capital of a country is some kind of city. And so it's going to predict Accra and Nairobi with higher probability than it would any other word. Does that make sense? Kind of. Can't see people's faces. But the point of what I want to say is that um, these systems are not necessarily intelligent. They are only predicting the next word. And so if you ask it the capital of Ghana is, with this small data set, it will say Accra and it'll be correct. And you would think, oh, it's very intelligent. But with this same data set, if you ask it what is the capital of Nigeria, it will probably give you a wrong answer. Even though the information about the capital of Nigeria is clearly in the data set that it was trained with. But the structure of how the data set was organized is not intuitive to the predictive capacity of the models. And so when you're using these models, you have to be aware that they are not actually thinking. They are just predicting the next word based on the data that has been used to train them. So that's why you have all these limitations when it comes to using LLMs. And this is also why it's very important that you prompt your LLMs very well when you're using them, because you don't know what data they use to train them. Does that data include the domain that you're working in? You don't know. And so, the AI system, they struggle with creativity because fundamentally all that they are doing is predicting the next word. They're not doing anything fancy or that is actually mimicking how our brain works. So you have to be aware of these kinds of limitations. Okay, so what have we learned? We learn about AI, which is generally anything that is doing what human beings do. We learn about machine learning, which is which is a way of building AI by learning from data. We now know about deep learning, which is a way, a network for learning from data. We know how ChatGPT works. We know that all it is doing is predicting the next probable word out of a sequence. And we understand how people currently or the companies currently train LLMs by taking data from the internet. And we also are aware of the limitations, understanding that these systems are not conscious or intelligent. All that they really are doing is predicting the next sequence or the next word based on a large collection of data set that they have learned from. So now let's think about what you can use AI for in your research. Now, even with all these limitations, AI can actually be very, very useful for your research. You can use it to do a whole lot of things in your research. And here are the three things that I think are most useful: speeding up literature review, improving academic writing and editing, and also supporting data analysis and coding. These are the three sort of things that I think AI can be very useful for, especially for I think people are putting questions in the thing in the chat. Oh, it's not a question. Yeah, so these are the three sort of things that I think are most useful for using AI for. And I'll go over examples of like the tools that you can use for any of these things. So let's first go over literature review. There are many tools. If you Google right now, AI tools for literature review, you will see like tens and tens and hundreds of AI tools for doing literature review. Some of these tools, all you have to do is type like the sort of the topic or what you want to do literature review about. It'll go through a large data sets, download all the papers, put it together for you, and help you do literature review. And there are many of them out there. Elicit is one, Litmap is one. Litmap will even show you sort of how citations are connected. Cite is another one, and then Literal is another one. There are many of them out there. The only way to be able to learn how to use these systems is by actually trying them out. And so I know because this workshop is mostly online, I'm not going to go over the demo of how to use these systems, but I will encourage you to just like go to the website, sign up, and just test it out. test it out on something that is not high risk and just see how it works and learn with it. When it comes to academic writing, again, there are many AI tools out there for academic writing. I was even surprised there was so many out there. I've never used any of these, but I thought they were really interesting that there's so many of them coming out. These are systems that, it's basically like Grammarly, but with a lot more fancy tools for citing papers, for fact checking, for so many other things that I haven't even tested myself. But the point is, there are so many tools out there that you can test. And so I encourage you to again go look Google them and check them out. Last but not least, this is what I've mostly used AI for personally, is for writing code and doing data analysis. And for this, I've mostly interacted directly with sort of ChatGPT, with the chatbot or with cloud chatbots. But there are also purposefully designed tools out there, AI tools out there for coding like Keza or Julius, which is also specifically designed for data analysis. So all these tools are AI tools are out there that you can use to do the three things that I talked about, which is literature review, which can help you sort of see what other people have done, where are there research gaps, and then you can do your research. And then when it comes to the writing, you can use some of these AI writing tools to also help you write, and you can also use Cloud or ChatGPT or Kaiser to help you analyze your data. Or you can use Cloud or ChatGPT alone for all these things. But there are so many other tools out there that I would encourage you to also sort of explore and interact with. So there are a lot of tools, and I've shown you a lot of examples of these tools, but as you know, there are risks for using this in your research, and you have to be very careful about it. And so, how do you use these AI systems in your research in a way that you don't lose your voice, in a way that you're still authentic, in a way that you're still you and you're delivering something valuable to society? Um, the risk is of using these systems is you can lose your voice. As have been pointed out throughout the workshop. And if all you do is say go to the ChatGPT and say write me an essay about, say, I don't know, Mandela or some other topic, it's just gonna give you something that sounds nothing like you. But if you give an assignment to write something about Mandela and you did your research, you wrote a few paragraphs about what you think about Mandela, and then you put in the ChatGPT and say, "This is what I think about Mandela. Can you help me edit it?" Then it will do something much better. That sounds at least like you. And so again, this goes back to the point earlier about augment, don't automate. Because if you just ask it to write for you, you're automating. But if you write yourself and then you ask it to edit, or you ask it to review, or you ask it to like, add a little bit more to it, there you're doing more of the augmenting because then you're working more with the AI. And I'm going to go over some of these strategies to avoid you losing your voice. But it's really important to know that if you automate, you're going to lose your voice. So augment. Also, AI can hallucinate. And so in the example that I showed with just the four sentences where, we asked it to, what is the capital of Nigeria, you can see that it might not be able to predict accurately what the capital of Nigeria is because we didn't put that explicitly in the data set. And so sometimes the AI will hallucinate and come up with an answer that is not even in the data sets. And so you have to be careful that AI systems, at the end of the day, all these things are represented as numbers, and numbers can be funny. So you have to be cautious of that, especially when you're doing science. There are ethical concerns. You have to meet standards. If your institution is not supporting the use of AI, then obviously you can't use AI for specific things that are not supported. And so you have to be aware of these sort of ethical concerns about using AI as well. There's also the over reliance on AI problem. Like I've personally actually had this issue sometimes where like when I don't have AI and I'm writing code, I just get very impatient because I'm very used to having AI autocomplete my code that right now I have become very lazy. It's kind of like how you get used to autocorrect for writing. Eventually it happens to you when you depend on it too much. And so you have to be aware of these issues as well. So um you know I was taking when I was going to Portland for ESA on my flights, I had to buy internet because I realized if I don't have internet and I'm not connected to the internet, I was going to be very slow with my with the work that I wanted to do. So, you don't want to be too reliant on the AI is what I'm trying to say, is because you might not always have access to it, and if you're too reliant on it, it's going to affect your productivity when you don't have access to it. So these are very important concerns and risks that you need to be aware of. Okay, so what have you learned? AI, you can use AI in your research. It can help you with literature review to help you find gaps in research, help you sort of summarize things very quickly, some compare different studies to each other, something that I personally have done. There was this one time I was working on a project and I just didn't have enough time to read all the papers. So I read the introduction, I read sort of the results and the methods, and I then put the paper in Cloud, and then ask Cloud to compare the paper to what I have previously written for about my the paper that I was working on, and then it compared it for me, and that just helped me um, quickly even better understand what I was doing because it summarizes very well. And the reason why it summarizes very well is because I also read the paper before I asked the chatbot to sort of summarize it for me. And we have also went over some of the risks of using AI. There's so many risks. I'm not going to put them here. I'll remind you of the risks, but there are a lot of risks that you need to be aware of. But if you can learn how to incorporate AI, do literature review, to write, and to do data analysis, you can go from doing a research that would take you months to now doing it in weeks. Again, there's still risk that you need to be aware of, but if you can employ the right strategies to mitigate those risks, you can go from like, I don't know, taking 2 months to do something to taking 1 week to do it. It's very possible by using these AI tools. Like very, very possible. Um, so how do you use this AI system without losing your voice? Now, this for me is the most critical part of this presentation uh, with everything that we have learned. I think the approach that we all need to use, and this is very much so the approach that I use, is the human in the loop framework or the human first framework, where you understand that again, the AI is not automating your work, you are augmenting it with your intelligence. And so if you're going to ask AI to write, make sure that whatever you want to write with the AI, you already understand that domain. So if I'm going to use AI to write about cassava production, and I know nothing about cassava production, then it's not gonna do well. It's probably not gonna. I'm not going to be able to augment myself well with the AI system to write a good paper about cassava production. But if I take the task or the effort to learn about cassava production myself, and then I go to the AI and say, these are all the things I know about cassava production, and I want to write a paper about it. I give those outlines, those thoughts that I currently have, and I say, now let's write a paper. Then you have a much better chance of writing a very good paper because then it becomes augmentation. You're augmenting what you know with the AI and not just thinking first. And so that goes into the think first part. The challenge, the answer part is where whenever the AI gives you an answer, you have to go over the answer. You have to read it. You can't just copy and paste. You have to read it and you have to verify everything that it gives you and make sure that it makes sense. So this can sort of be summarized, and I will summarize in sort of subsequent slides. But this point is really important. Like, start with your idea. You don't want to lose your voice, So don't just go to the AI and say, write about Mandela. It's gonna write what it thinks about Mandela. But if you go and you say, this is what I know, this is what I know, this is what I think, and you give it that all that, then that's what you call the context. Because remember, you don't know what was used to train the large language model. It's trained a lot of stuff. You don't know what it is, and it might have the information of what is important in your domain, or it might not. But if you give it good context, which is part of the prompt engineering, you at least allow it to be able to generate something that is sensible. And so thinking, starting with your own ideas, making sure that whatever you want to do with the AI, you are coming to the table with a problem already half solved is the best approach. And then personalize the AI outputs. Don't just copy and paste. ChatGPT, for example, puts a lot of dashes. And sometimes I see people's work with a lot of dashes, and I'm like, this is obviously copy and paste. So, like, don't do that. At least remove the dashes. If you're not gonna do anything else, at least remove the dashes. But it's really important that you kind of like rewrite what the AI has wrote in your own words and how you write. Sometimes, when I'm using AI to summarize things, it'll write very big English that I myself don't know, and I'm like, this is not my English. I remove it and I put what in a way that I would say it. And then Grammarly sometimes will also help me like, edit it a little bit, make it sound more like me. So, edit the output, personalize it, make it yours. And I think this is also perhaps the most important thing, especially for research. You have to fact check this stuff. I have sometimes found AI to give me citations that don't exist, and it does that very frequently. And so if it says, "Oh, this paper you can has this information," you should go read the paper and check that it actually has that information. Because sometimes ChatGPT or the large language models might not be able to extract that information very well. So fact checking is very important, and you have to incorporate that very seriously, especially when you're doing research. You have to do that. If you don't do fact checking, you might as well not use the AI at all. Like if AI saves you, like even if it saves you 90% of the work that you need to do and you don't fact check, the whole work that you've done is pretty much useless, especially as a scientist. So this point is very important. You have to fact check it. You have to be in the basically think about the AI as like your undergrad students that you have given them a task. If you don't explain the task well before you give it to them, they won't do it well. And even after they have done the work, you better check the work that they have done before you submit to the journal. You won't give your undergrad a paper to write for you and then submit it to the journal without checking it. That wouldn't make sense. You wouldn't do that. And so like basically treat AI like that. Transparency. And this goes back to the point of reporting how you're using your AI. A lot of journals today, they allow you to use AI for writing. So you can use AI and report you're using AI without getting in trouble for it. The academic community is still kind of on and off about it, but generally they are moving towards sort of the acceptance of AI systems. And I think generally that's going to be the path continuing into the future. So if you start using it, you're already ahead of the curve. And this is inevitable. So incorporate it and be transparent about it that you're using AI systems. Okay, so best practice. Now, this perhaps is the most important slide that put everything together. Think first. AI is not automating your work, it is augmenting your intelligence. If you don't know about cassava production, don't go and ask AI to write an essay for you about cassava production. If you don't know how to code, you're not going to be able to use AI to code very well. And so, learn to code. AI cannot automate your work for you. It can only augment your intelligence. So learn. That's the most important thing. Two, edit heavily. Whatever the AI gives you, don't just copy and paste. Edit it, edit. Make it yours. Just like when you're writing a paper or writing an essay, you write, you put it somewhere, you come back to it. The next day you edit, come back to it again, you edit. That's how you write. No one sits in a go and write a whole paper and submit it to anywhere. If you do that, you're going to write a bad paper. So why do you expect AI to write something good in one go? That's not how it works. The AI can give you a good first draft, but once you take that first draft, you edit, you continue to edit it, edit it, edit it, edit it, and it will become better. Verify the facts. Don't take it that AI knows everything, that AI is accurate. It is not. Fact check it. Fact check everything. Very close, especially with numbers. AI is not very good with numbers. You can ask it to add 2 plus 2 and it might tell you it is 1. So especially with numbers, don't trust the AI. Fact check it. And cite properly. Especially in academic spaces, you want to make sure you're attributing, sources properly. And most journals today are open to it, and so you can cite and not get in trouble for it. Okay. Final thoughts. I think we're moving into sort of a generation or an era where we're going to have people that if they learn to augment AI into their workflow, into how they do things, we're going to have people that will be writers that can be like anything that they can think of. Like you can be a writer, you can be a musician if you want to, you can build houses if you want to, anything that you want, any expertise in any domain that you want, you can literally do something very reasonably in that space if you learn how to augment these AI systems into your workflow. If you use AI in a way that it automates you, then you are going to be replaced. Don't do that. Augment it. If you augment it, you are less likely to be replaced. Those are my final thoughts. Yes, and that is all. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to go over this presentation, and I'll answer any question that anyone might have.
Thank you, Dr. Amoah. Let's express ourselves with our reactions while we move on to the question and answer session. Question and answers, please.
Okay, thank you so very much, sir. Please, we're still waiting for the reactions. We would love to see the yes, thank yous. Yes, we would love to see those. Okay. Okay. All right. So we have a few questions here. Okay, yes. The gratitude is going up. Love that. All right. So thank you so much, Dr. Moore, for your presentation. We have a few questions here, but I would like to give an opportunity to anybody that has a question and would like to unmute themselves before I read out the questions we have here. You can use the raise hand feature to let us know. I'll give a minute for that before I start with the questions. And if by any chance you would want to still send in a question, please use the link in the chat. Okay, so, well, let me go ahead and ask the question. I don't see anybody's hands up.
Someone's hand is up.
Okay, so
Sunday
I
Obiaji.
see Sunday Obiajuma. Okay, Mr. Sunday, please, you can now unmute and turn on your video. Okay,
sorry, I might not
think
be
it's
able
up.
to turn
Okay.
my video. Thank you, Dr. Edward, for the presentation. Just want to ask, you've talked, trying to emphasize more on augmentation. I don't know if you have time to talk about how the augmentation works with some of these software that checkmate AI in academic writings, or that detect AI in academic writing. So how do they work? Does the augmentation a kind of, do I use the word defile those software in detecting AI usage in your academic writing? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's getting harder and harder for some of these tools that detect AI to work very well. Because the AI is also getting better at writing to sort of like oh, not be detected. Um, but I think the point of my presentation is not to write in a way that you use AI in a way that you don't, and forgive me for saying in this way, um, not to use an AI in a way that you don't get caught, not necessarily not that way, but I think the way you want to think about AI when I talk about augmentation is that you are the one who's in the driving seat. It is your ideas, it is you that is doing the writing, and the AI is just making it faster for you. And so I have written 20 pages of stuff in one day, and they are all my ideas, but I obviously can't type 20 pages. But the AI can do that very quickly. And also I can read very quickly and I can edit very quickly. So if I say I want to write these things and I give it to the AI, and as I said in my presentation, I haven't actually used the AI writing tools before. But I will encourage you to try it out because if you try it out and it's not good, then you know. I found the chat interface to be okay for me. But I think generally, whichever approach you use AI, make sure that you are the one who is driving the creativity because the AI doesn't have that. I don't know if that answered your question.
Mr. Sunday?
Yes, thank you for your response. Again, with my friend, the other time, we tried to write something on our own, but because of some of the words that we use, that is, perhaps aligns or that is consistent somehow with AI, a pattern of writing, it
Yeah.
highlight some of the software quickly highlighted it, and it was just we're trying to kind of prove something. I was like, let's do it because I've experienced that again and again. You just on your own without looking at anything and you write, perhaps, especially if you are used to big works like demonstrating, comprehensive, and things like that. AI, some of those software will quickly highlight it as AI. So
Yeah.
so these are some of the sensitivity and dynamics and challenges with AI and the software that detects writing. Thank you.
Yeah. I, I personally think like even if you use AI and you are in the driving seat, it's like I use Google. Do I go around saying I use Google or do I go around saying I use Grammarly? Like AI is just a tool. But however, it is a different kind of tool because these generative AI systems can generate and sound more intelligent like human beings. And people are not doing the work of fact checking them and making sure that they are not actually saying something that is not true or adding their own um, ideas to it. And that's what has made this kind of tool very like dangerous, so to speak. Um, but fundamentally, it is still a very basic tool. So I personally, I put the accountability on the person that is using the AI. I think you as the person, you are responsible for making sure whatever the AI you're taking from the AI and then publishing or giving to other people is fact checked. It has your ideas because you're the one who brought it, and that it makes sense. And I don't think AI should be given credit for it because like we can't hold the AI accountable. And if you can't hold the AI accountable, then what's the point of checking whether or not AI did it or not? I think the reason why currently in our society we are doing that is because we haven't learned very well how to use AI, or most of us are not using it very well.
All
Right.
right.
Yeah. But I think it's a problem that will go away. I think.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So moving on very quickly, I want to take one of the questions here. It says, what skills do you think researchers must develop now because of the rise of AI in academia? Should I take that again?
Yes. What skills should we
Do you think that researchers must develop now because of the rise of AI in academia?
critical thinking.
Okay.
It's your most important asset. You need to learn to think about things critically, and you need to be quick at learning new things.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's brilliant. All right. The next question is, when you augment with AI in research, can it be flagged as plagiarism?
I think the use of AI in academia and in industry generally is still quite young, especially in academia. And so there's still sort of this n negative sentiment of it. Um, I think when you augment and you are thinking first, you are heavily editing, I think you are in the driving seat. And so I see AI as just LLM as just, you know, Grammarly or something you Googled on ChatGPT. And so in that
Mm,
case, I don't see anything wrong with it. That is my philosophy for how AI is supposed to be used. But if you're using AI to automate and you're just asking questions and copying and pasting, then yes, you are going to be plagiarizing.
okay. Okay. So I think this is from a question that was asked in the chat. Um, so I think you were showing a slide at the time this person sent this, and the person asked if these apps are free.
Oh, that's a very good question. Most likely not. I haven't used all these things before, but I like to say that, if it is say $20 a month, ask yourself, what is your hour of your time worth?
Hmm.
And if it can save you even 1 hour in a day, I think you've already made your value proposition.
Hmm.
And if you're using a valuable tool, which cloud have saved me hours and hours and hours I can't count.
Hmm.
So 20 hours, $20 an hour doesn't sound. I spend a lot of money on AI. I should probably stop. So
Oh.
I think it's worth it.
Okay. So there's a question in the comments. It says, how do you know the scope of data used to train some of the LLMs anytime you wish to use it for augmenting your work?
Yeah, the companies will not tell you. But the way that you overcome this is by using prompt engineering. And so if you want to use, say, ChatGPT about to do something about, I don't know, something that is very unique that you don't think it's included in the training data set, you can include that data set as a context in ChatGPT. You can upload those documents and say, now I want you to answer these questions using these documents as your context. And so that's what we call retrieval augmented generation. But you can do that to sort of kind of overcome that challenge. But the actual data set, they are not going to give it. They never tell us.
Okay. So another person asked about sharing these resources with us. Please let me
Okay.
give me a minute. Do you have like an external um I think the best way to ask this question is if there's like an external resource that has a link to these things, because the person just says, "Can you share these resources with us?" So
Yeah, I
I'm
can
not
I can share. I
okay.
can share them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we would get them from you to send to registered participants, right?
Yeah, I can share the list of.
Okay. All
But
right.
also I just Googled these, so it's like they're not very hard to find.
Okay. Okay. Um, I think I think I've gone through all the questions. So thank you very much, everyone. So I'll put you back now in the hands of Victoria Yeboah for our next segment.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Amo, and thank you everybody for joining. We just have some announcement to make. We want to connect with you. So as our moderator mentioned earlier when we started, this is Springboard. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll be having more seminars such as this to educate ourselves, especially those of us in academia. So please connect with us. You can scan the QR code right now and connect with us. Also, for those of us who registered, we'll be sending out the recording of this session as long as along with any other materials that we have that Dr. Alma will be sharing it with us. So if you would like to, maybe if you didn't register but you want to have these resources, you can message us on LinkedIn, or feel free to contact anybody you know on the Zoom. You can contact me and we can have that available to you. Thank you all for joining. It's been an educative section, and thank you, Dr. Amwa, for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Follow us, feel free to do that. And we look forward to having you again for some other beautiful sessions. Stay tuned as we bring you the awareness as time goes on. Follow us on LinkedIn. Reach out to any one of us. Yes, Victoria has made herself available for conversation, so you could feel free to link up with her. Keep the conversation going. Seeing you some other time. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. Bye.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
You know why? You know why I'm asking?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hello.
Hello, sir.